checking here. 93, 93, 93. Everything should be coming through just fine now. Peace, peace. Back from hiatus. Peace, Natasha. What's up, what's up? What's up, what's up, Jahari? Salute to you. Special salute to you. You already know the business. What's up, what's up? There was a tarot reader doing a reading regarding the astral incident, and that shit was for sure some kind of dark portal ritual or whatever. Well, you know, once the public get their hands on something, you know they're gonna take it to the absolute extreme. Peace, Joshua. Peace, peace. What's up, what's up? So you already know. Again, let's just make this one point clear, you know, since that was brought up. Most people who's decoding all this so-called, you know, satanic rituals and all these things that they think they're exposing, they are not practitioners of any of these occult sciences. So because they are not practitioners, they always have a religious perspective when it comes to anything that they do not understand. So this would be a perfect example of that. Because everybody who think that they're exposing all the ritual and all the symbolism and what was said and what was done, again, this is people from the outside of the inner circle. They have no idea what's going on. This is all just as we call conjecture. This is all conjecture. This is people speculating on what they think is going on based upon the information that they have available to them. Essentially, they are conducting fundamental analysis. They're using all the available data that they have available and they're coming to conclusions based upon conjecture. In terms of my thoughts on that particular matter, it's like things of this nature, I tend not to speak on too much because there's just such an abundance of content already out there with people who are, you know, assuming they think they know. So I would say from a practitioner's, you know, somebody who's into the dark arts, honestly, I'm not necessarily even that into what's going on with that whole situation. Like, I don't know all of the details. I'm not even digging my claws into it, to be honest. Because I see so many other people, you know, they're digging their claws, they're putting everything they want into it. It actually just made me stay away from it. It didn't make me want to even dig into it because I see, you know, all the people with the misconceptions that's going on. So it actually took me further away from it. I wanted to more so have the third eye view of the particular situation because there's a lot going on in the world. Honestly, if we look at the whole world scale, there's a lot going on. So it really depends on what circles you frequent that you have the wider perspective. Because if we look at the wider perspective, hold on, give me 1 second here. Okay. If we look at the wider perspective, while everybody is distracted with this so-called satanic ritual, while that's a distraction for the public, for the mainstream, what's actually going on is underneath their perspective. Peace, Mary, peace. Peace, Miss Libra. What I mean by that is, whenever situations like this happen, everybody immediately jumps on it because, all right, let's just do some technical analysis. Most people already assume Travis Scott to be associated with any type of, you know, dark arts or, you know, devil worship, whatever people want to call it. So people been putting out that information on him. They've been criticizing his music. They've been on that time with Travis Scott. So this essentially was the moment where they can take all of that frustration and all of that energy built on top of him anyway. So everybody who's speaking crazy about the whole situation, they already felt the type of way about Travis Scott. Or anybody who's into the dark arts, they already feel some type of way about these people. So the fact that they immediately jump on the situation without even having all of the facts, of course, people were being sued, lawsuits are being conducted. There's a lot of information that people don't know yet. We don't have all of the facts. However, everybody wants to assume. So what I'm saying is, all these people who have all this craziness to say, they already felt some type of way. This incident just confirms how they already felt. So now they just have evidence to support what they already felt about this man and whoever is associated with, again, the dark world or dark arts. However, me being a part of the LA culture, me spending years in LA, me conducting a lot of dark arts in the LA culture, of course I would know a lot more than the average person as to what's actually occurring. Because he's heavily involved in the LA culture. So a lot of things that people notice, unless you are involved in the dark arts, you would not really understand what's going on. Because again, most people are afraid of these types of things, so they criticize it instead of seeking to understand what's actually going on. What would be the purpose of conducting a mass sacrifice, essentially? What is there to gain? Now, of course, there's a lot of speculation as to why these things are conducted in the first place. But what most people don't realize is this is just what's happening in a public eye. If we go underneath the public eye, things of this nature are happening all of the time. This is just what we can publicly see. But things of this nature is happening on a consistent basis, especially in 2020 and beyond. This has been happening on a consistent basis. This is just the distraction we have. We're going to focus all of our attention on Travis Scott as if he, some type of dark lord. And this is what people assume. Of course, they assume he's one of the biggest dark lords in the music industry. With Kanye West and all these names. Again, I really don't like name dropping. But this is what people assume. That's why whenever Kanye says something crazy, everybody just goes crazy and, create content out of this world. Same thing with Travis Scott. All of this supposedly musical geniuses. Because you can't deny the musical ability. However, there's always, this extraordinary. Again, the same thing with Kanye West, Jay-Z, and this whole devil worship. This has been going on for a very long time. I know this has been going on for at least the last 10 years. Like, if I just analyze what I was seeing as I was studying what was going on like 10 years ago, for me, if I was to go back in time, like when did all this kind of go over the edge? I would say when Jay-Z released the Blueprint 3. When Jay-Z released the Blueprint 3, I believe the year was 2009. I believe that was the first year I touched down in LA. So I know like the EDM scene was going crazy. The Lady Gaga was going crazy. Like 2000, like Drake was just coming out. 2009 was musically on fire. So when Jay-Z released that Blueprint 3, all that, everything just went over the top. It's then also with Rihanna, which is connected with Jay-Z. Jay-Z was releasing the music and the videos. Then Rihanna was releasing this. This is what really took it over the top. Started about 10 years ago. So we've always been speculating on all this craziness in the music industry, which you can say started with Robert Johnson. Most people probably don't know who Robert Johnson is, but this is essentially where we get the story of a person selling their soul for music or fame and all that. it begins with Robert Johnson. Okay? So this is why if we start all the way from Robert Johnson, and now we take it all the way up to Travis Scott, we see the same manifestation. It's just that most people don't take it back far enough to see the patterns. But if you have studied far enough to see where does all this whole music and devil worship, where does all this start, where does all this come from, and you see, okay, it's kind of started with Robert Johnson, you know, the whole rock. And now with hip-hop essentially became the new rock, and then that energy that was geared towards rock now is geared towards hip-hop. It's very mysterious because you really don't hear people talking about, again, like death metal. You got all these types of different rock music that has all type of satanic rituals, or imagery at least. There's whole genres of rock that's like purely demoted. Again, you got death rock, death metal, you got all types of stuff that's just purely demonic or satanic, but we don't ever hear about this stuff. However, when Travis Scott does something like this, now the world goes crazy. I say it's a double standard. And again, that started with Robert Johnson. Because again, in the entirety of the music industry, there are people constantly putting out demonic music. Way before hip-hop was even in existence. But whenever a hip-hop artist does it, it's just always taken over the top, as if they're doing something more crazy than what's been going on, and they're really not. I do not believe Travis Scott is somewhere doing something more satanic or more Luciferian than what the rock artist was doing back in the day, or still to this day. I don't think he's doing anything just extraordinary that's not being conducted by other people. However, when Travis Scott does it, now everybody wants to lose their top. And I guarantee probably the same day a demonic rock album dropped, the same day that this whole Travis Scott controversy has been going on. But nobody bats an eye about this. This music is released on a consistent basis. But for whatever reason, when Travis Scott does it, then it's just over the top. So again, this is why I try not to dig my claws deep into this type of stuff, because I know it's a double standard. I know everybody's just jumping to conclusions, while in reality, this is happening all the time in all types of different genres all over the planet. People just want to put the spotlight on Travis Scott because they already feel a type of way about him, just like they feel about Kanye and all these other Jay-Z's, Rihanna's. People already feel, negative emotions towards them. And again, it's because they are not practitioners. Yeah, exactly. The Jay-Z and Rihanna and Kanye video run this time. Yeah, that definitely was a staple, and that's what really the public really started getting ridiculous with the accusations. See, what most people don't know, and I'll probably be the one to reveal this, because we are in the realm of astrology here, so we can just go back to the mathematics. We can always take it back to the mathematics. So if we take it to the mathematics, most people know Jay-Z to be a Sagittarius. In Western astrology, Jay-Z will be a Sagittarius. He was born December 4th, so that would make him a Sagittarius. However, if we study Vedic astrology or Eastern astrology, that would actually make him a Scorpio. So the fact that Jay-Z is associated with all this dark energy is no coincidence when he has the soul of a Scorpio, the personality of a Sagittarius, and that's why he is able to, do what he does musically. But he has a soul of a Scorpio because he's an Eastern Scorpio. So there's no coincidence why all of this imagery ends up in his videos and why it ends up in his lyrics and why it makes people go crazy. He's simply manifesting the energy of Scorpio. And that's why all of this controversy really revolves around him. It started with him. He is really a centerpiece with all of this devil worship and satanic worship, they're gonna always go back to Jay-Z. They're gonna always go back to him because he is one of the staples. He is one of the major staples, but again, he has the soul of a Scorpio. If you look at the Eastern chart, again, he's a Eastern Scorpio. So there's no coincidence that he initiated the darker energy into hip-hop. This Masonic energy into hip-hop, that's no coincidence. However, most people are distracted by the personality. They're distracted by the Sagittarius. They completely negate the soul force. And when we actually view the soul force, we see that it all actually makes sense. It's not as random as it seems. This actually has a bearing in reality. All right. And again, I wasn't even going to talk about this stuff, but you know, I definitely want to give my insight because I know no one else is going to provide insight from someone who's actually in the dark world. People in the dark world really don't speak. They remain in silence, so they know what's going on, but they're not speaking about it. The only people really running their mouth about it is everybody else, who have no idea how to conduct a ritual at all. They don't know nothing about ceremonial magic. They know nothing about any of this stuff. So when they see this stuff, they go crazy because they don't have any knowledge of it. Because to them, it's anti-religion. Straight demonic ritual. Again, even if it was, why is all the emphasis being placed on Travis Scott as if he's doing something different? What is he really doing that we have not seen in other genres of music that's a lot more demonic or satanic? What is he really doing? How is he any different than these rock artists that have satanic imagery all in their album covers? You go to their concerts, it's satanic imagery, it's satanic worship, all this. What is so different? Why is everybody jumping on Travis Scott like he's the only one out here devil worshiping, if we just want to call it? I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but why is there so much emphasis on Travis Scott? Like he is, what has Travis Scott really done that's so different, other than, I guess, his musical genius is supreme? That's probably why people put him on pedestal, because he's been able to supersede all of these, you know, so-called rock artists and all the people that I'm speaking about. He's on a bigger platform. So but that's not because because he has some deal with the devil. It's just because this is his destiny. It's one thing to have talent, it's another thing to walk in your destiny. Peace. Best Aussie shooter. Peace. Crowley, he never hid that, Jay. Yeah, exactly. We all have seen, well, those who have done the research, we've all seen Jay-Z with the Do What Thou Wilt hoodie, you know, in 2009 times. But again, so many people just completely took it out of context because they don't know nothing about Crowley. See, that's the thing. If you don't know anything about Crowley, you're going to see that quote and you're going to lose your mind because you think like this is the most ridiculous stuff on the planet. However, if you actually know about Crowley and Thelema, you would understand that that's not actually something, like, what's so bad about telling someone follow your true will? That does not include, again, that's just one, that is not the whole quote. That is just a part of the quote. Part of the quote is do what thou wilt. That is just one half of it. There's another half to that quote. The other half of that quote is love under law. Do what thou wilt, love under law. Meaning, as long as you are not infringing on anyone else's free will, go at it. I don't have no bass effects. No, this is just a mic. This is just a mic doing that. I have no effects on. This is just, you know, some mics are more bassier than others. I guess this is just a bassier mic. So no, I'm not purposely putting in more bass. I'm actually speaking low. Like, if you were in the next room, you probably couldn't even hear me. But, I just got the mic turned up. It sounds a lot deeper than I guess it usually is. Lil Nas X got no bullshit from his performances. We don't even have to speak on Lil Nas, because we already know his perspective. I mean, he's just going extra hard with it for the very same reason that I'm talking about. You do anything different, then people put you in the league with the devil. This is just what people do. And again, this is just the karma of religion, of religious thought. I appreciate that, Xander. So yes, while the world is distracted with Travis Scott and the Jay-Z's and the Rihannas and all these other people that they think is doing something crazy, getting back to the original point, most people don't study these people. And if they study the people, they don't study the works. So even if people know about, let's just say, Crowley, very few people have actually read the Book of the Law. Very few people have actually read his works. They only know about, okay, he was doing some craziness, he was doing madness. So they may know about his personality, but they don't know about the works. They don't know about the Lima. They don't know about the 93. They just know about the man. But the man has nothing to do with 93. The man has nothing to do with the Lima. Because again, the man takes no credit for the Lima. The Lima came through him. So what he was doing as a human being has nothing to do with the Lima. But again, the average person is not going to dig deep enough to come to that conclusion. They're just going to see it on the surface and they're going to blow out of proportion, because he's in a league with the devil. So again, our religious thought or our primitive thought takes over and we just blow it out of proportion, again, as if these rappers are doing something different than what has always been occurring in the music industry. What are these rappers doing that is so different than what has always been occurring in the music industry? What are they doing so different? Have I listened to Capital Steez? Absolutely. Absolutely. I know all about that 47. Absolutely. 93, your birth year. Shout out to you. Salute to you. That's exactly why you're here. That's crazy, right? The mathematics don't lie. Peace, 305 Capricorn. Peace, peace. So this is essentially just the question we ask ourselves, as practitioners, as students of the occult. We understand that people take these arts way over the top. Again, when the public scrutinizes anything, they're going to blow it out of proportion because they are operated off of fear. Most people fear the darkness because they fear the devil, because they fear death. This all is coming from fear, because if you had no fear, you wouldn't care about what a person is saying in their own concert. You don't care about what lyrics they're writing on their page and what music they're putting out. Because everybody essentially has the ability to be a magician, a high priestess. Everybody has the ability to exercise their magical talents. However, when we actually do exercise our magical talents, we are criticized for it, and that's why we operate in silence. Because if you start doing it out in the open, we know how the world is. The world is not going to welcome, essentially, the energy of the ancients, because they have put in so much work to erase the history of the ancients. You embracing the ancients, and I'm not talking about, people embracing their heritage. Like your American heritage or your African heritage or European heritage, Asian heritage, Mexican heritage. I'm not speaking about heritage. I'm talking about your magical will, to manifest your magical will. It's only a certain amount of people that's going to be cool with it. Even if we go back to Crowley, the world hated Crowley, but a special few loved him. And those special few that loved him is a reason why we have the Lima. It's a reason we have, again, even if people don't acknowledge him, his works paved the way for our understanding of Western occultism. If you take Crowley out of the picture, we do not have Western occultism. We only have Eastern occultism, which was laid down by Helena Blavatsky. If you take Helena Blavatsky out of the picture, you don't have Eastern occultism. Because again, none of these works were in English. So somebody had to translate these works so that we can read them. These secrets have always been known, but they were not in our language, so we didn't have access to it. So somebody had to go through the work, had to put in that work so that we can translate and be able to pick up these occult messages that have always been in existence. So this is why people like Crowley or Blavatsky are important, irregardless of whether or not we agree with their lifestyles, because it's not about their lifestyles. That's not why they're relevant. It's their works. It's their notoriety. It's the same thing with Travis Scott or these rappers. If we pay attention to what's going on in their personal life, then again, if we allow ourselves to judge a person based on their personal life and not just admire the work, then we are essentially separating ourselves from reality. The purpose of producing art is to separate yourself or your personality from your work so that people can admire the purity of yourself. Or you can admire purity. The purest essence of a person is manifested in their art so that you can remove any negative sensation you may feel about them or positive sensation and you just admire the art. Some people will like it, some people will not. So what I'm saying is this: when you make the decision to manifest your magical will, there will only be a select few that actually cooperate with that. The world is not going to accept it. I don't know, maybe the law of attraction has poisoned the world to think that the world is going to accept you when you decide to activate your magical will. They're not. They're not going to accept you. They're not going to like it. They're going to feel all types of ways about you manifesting your magical will. They're not going to like it at all. It's only going to be a select few or your inner circle that can actually fully appreciate your magical ability. This is why people of means or substance they really have to, be away from the public. You can't be amongst the people because the people do not take you as those who care about you take you. In other words, the public always has some madness to say. They're gonna think the lowest of you, even if you're trying to perform your highest will. Yes, your inner circle is sacred, and that's really the only thing that matters. The rest of the public is going to scrutinize because they have no understanding. They don't know about your struggle. They don't know about the work you've been putting in. They just see the results. They don't know the hardship. They don't know, again, all of the things that you did in the silence, all of the things that was done in the dark. The public knows nothing about that. The inner circle does. They know about the pain and the hardship, and they know about all of the things that come with it. And they know about the other side. They know about the comfort. We don't have to focus on the hardship. Also on the other side, they know about the comfort. So this is why we must understand, when you make the decision to manifest your magical will, you will not be accepted necessarily publicly, but you will be accepted secretly. And that secret acceptance, or that invisible acceptance or spiritual acceptance, is called currency versus money. You can say the public can give you money, but your sacred circle gives you currency. You actually get currency from those who actually admire you for who you are. That's a form of currency, while everybody else can only give you money. That's how the system is set up. When it comes to the public can only give you money. They're not necessarily giving you currency, because currency goes beyond money. It goes beyond making transactions. When it comes to the inner circle, and again, this inner circle can be physical or spiritual. This inner circle is not just physical, but it can be spiritual. That goes all the way back to what is the book? Think and Grow Rich. This goes all the way back to Think and Grow Rich. This when he built his spiritual community or his spiritual roundtable. You know, for those who have read that book, you know exactly what I'm speaking about. So this is not necessarily anything new. It's just that people have made it physical, when the circle really is supposed to be spiritual first. This is how you actually get to the physical people. But again, these laws are completely overlooked. You hear everybody talking about a circle like a group of physical people, and that's all. That's not the definition of circle. A sphere is 3D. It's not just linear. So if we're talking about 3D, it's just like casting a circle. If we take casting a circle literally, we will think we're supposed to point our finger and cast a circle around us before we conduct a ritual. When in reality, the circle is 3D, so it actually shields not just the physical, but also the spiritual. So most people have no idea about the spiritual circle. That's why a lot of times, most people get turned on by their inner circle. So if you do have any type of hardship, it is coming from the inner circle. And the only time that happened is because the spiritual currency wasn't balanced. What I mean by the spiritual currency wasn't balanced is the spiritual circle needs to be balanced with the physical circle. So that means even if you do not have a group of people that resonate with you, you really don't need it. That is not even necessary. Now, if you have it, it is a blessing. If you have people that resonate with you on that level, it's a blessing. But is it necessary? No. Because now we go into the spirit world. This is the purpose of conducting the dark arts. We are opening up portals and planes to build our spiritual alliances and build our spiritual circle. And once you build up the spiritual alliances in the spiritual circle, then that will help you to draw the necessary physical and material means in order to access the people, places, and things that you need to access on a physical plane. But it doesn't start physical. That is the result. See, people are taking the result as the starting point. The physical is the result. It is not the starting point. Nothing starts on the physical plane. Everything ends on the physical plane. As long as we understand that, we are not going to have it backwards. Most people have it backwards. We do not start here on the physical plane and try to manifest or do anything. Nothing starts on the physical plane. Everything ends on the physical plane. So if you make your 0-point reference the physical plane, and you are doing no work on the spiritual plane, then this is why we are limited. Because the physical plane, once again, is the results. We understand this when we study the Kabbalah, when we study the 4 worlds. The lowest world is Asia, that is the material world, that is the physical world, that is the results. Ma'al-Kuf, the pendant of the tree of life, is a manifestation of the previous 9. What do you think about the New Age ideas concerning 5D and unconditional love? Where does it fit into living in the light, in the dark, and alchemizing everything? Well, when it comes to the mainstream New Age, it's just complete madness. These are Eastern concepts, so let's speak about the New Age so that everybody's clear. The New Age is basically Eastern occultism. That's what the New Age is. The New Age is Eastern occultism. So everybody's talking about chakras, 5D, 4D. All these ideas come from the East, right? Why everybody's on yoga, you know, why everybody wants to meditate. This is all Eastern occultism. So the purpose of the East is to access move on here. Having some glitches here. Sorry about that. Hold on. Let me make sure everything is good. Okay. Well, again, we know what we're talking about. So if we have any types of glitches or whatever, just know that it is what it is. You know, when we speak about these types of things publicly, it is what it is. Give me 1 second. Let's see. One second here. So yeah, we're having some stream issues here. We're going a little bit too deep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this session, and I'll be right back at you. So yeah, instead of y'all experiencing buffering, let me go ahead and end this session, and we'll come right back. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching. I'll be right back at y'all. 93.